You've been lying to yourself, not with words, not with conscious intent, but with the quiet, convenient distortions that let you survive the day. You tell yourself you're fine when you're quietly falling apart. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, knowing tomorrow is just another word for never. You avoid looking too closely in the mirror, not because you fear what's there, but because you fear you'll see nothing at all if you've ever stared at the ceiling at night, feeling that cold sense of emptiness seep in. You know what I'm talking about. That gnawing question, is this all there is, sits at the edges of your mind like an unwelcome shadow. And so you bury it, you drown it in work, in noise, in other people's opinions, in endless scrolling, in whatever keeps you from sitting still long enough to hear your own thoughts. But here's the thing you secretly know. One day, you won't be able to distract yourself anymore. One day, time will catch up and it won't care about your excuses. Plato once wrote about the cave, about prisoners chained in darkness, mistaking shadows for reality. The disturbing part isn't that the prisoners are chained, it's that they don't want to leave. We live in a similar cave, only our shadows aren't on stone walls, they're on phone screens, on curated feeds, on the filtered versions of life we're told to admire. We convince ourselves we're free while voluntarily shackling ourselves to the very illusions that keep us numb. The first prison is not built of stone, it's built of comfort, and comfort for most of us has become the slowest form of death imaginable. Think about it. How many years have you lived on autopilot? Waking up, following the same loops, chasing pleasures that feel increasingly hollow. Nietzsche once warned about the last man, the person who abandons all higher aspirations just to remain comfortable, safe, entertained. The tragedy is that most people don't even know they've become him. At some point in your life, maybe without realizing it, you made a trade. You traded possibility for certainty. You traded risk for predictability. You chose the job, the relationship, the habits, the version of yourself that was safe. It wasn't a bad decision necessarily. Safety is seductive. Predictability feels like control. But here's the secret no one tells you. Every safe choice has a hidden cost, and that cost is your aliveness. Bonhoeffer, the theologian who resisted the Nazi regime, once wrote, "The ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of world it leaves to its children." But it's also the test of a life. What world are you leaving to yourself? One where you've been alive for 80 years, or one where you've lived the same year 80 times? You've been paying for safety with the currency of your own existence. We humans are storytellers. We live inside narratives about who we are, where we've been, and where we're going. And these stories, they give us identity. They help us make sense of the chaos. But sometimes your story becomes your cage. I'm not good at that. I'm just not that kind of person. It's too late for me. Each sentence like a brick, each belief like mortar. Before you realize it, you've built a fortress so solid that even you can't escape it. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear." And if you look closely, you'll see that fear writes more of your story than you'd like to admit. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting over. But here's the twist. The moment you realize the story is just yours, you also realize you can burn it and start again. We don't like to think about death. We pretend it's far away, an event reserved for later. But death isn't an event, it's a presence. It's here, now, watching every choice you make. The Stoics called it memento mori. Remember that you will die, not as a morbid obsession, but as a sharpening tool. To live in constant awareness of death is to strip away everything trivial. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. You stop postponing the real work of your life. Think of your life as a candle. Every day, the flame burns lower. The wax is disappearing, whether you use the light well or not. You can waste it lighting empty rooms, or you can burn it where it truly matters. Crowds make us feel safe. They give us validation. If everyone else is doing it, it must be fine, right? Wrong. History is littered with comfortable crowds, walking willingly into disaster. From empires collapsing under their own decadence, to societies that traded freedom for ease, to people who knew the truth but stayed silent because everyone else was quiet too. Following the crowd feels harmless until you realize you've given away your ability to think. Nietzsche warned that the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, and the cost of losing that struggle, you forget how to be yourself. There will come a day when you can no longer escape the truth. Maybe it will be the quiet after a loved one's funeral. Maybe it will be the second you hear the doctor's voice break. Or maybe it will be in the simple silence of a late night when you realize you've been a stranger to your own soul for years. And in that moment, every excuse, every illusion, every self-deception will fall away. You'll see that what you feared losing was never yours to keep, and what you feared chasing was the only thing worth running toward. This reckoning is inevitable. The only question is whether you face it now, while there's still time to act, or later when all that's left is regret. I'm not here to give you a blueprint for life. I'm not here to tell you which path is right. The truth is simpler and harder. You already know what you've been avoiding. You already know where you've been dishonest with yourself. You don't need more advice. You need courage. Courage to leave the cave. Courage to rewrite the story. Courage to burn the candle where it matters. And maybe courage to finally stop lying to yourself, because the final lie, the one that kills you before you actually die, is the belief that you have more time. One day, someone will stand over your grave, they'll speak your name, maybe tell a story, maybe stay silent. And the world will go on, the wind will keep moving through the trees, the sun will rise the next day without hesitation. All that will remain is the echo of the life you chose to live, or didn't. So before that day comes, ask yourself, what will I leave behind? What would I regret if I never began? And what am I willing to do today to make sure that when death comes, I can greet it not with fear, but with the quiet satisfaction of having truly lived? Because in the end, death is not the enemy. It's the clock that reminds you the game has already started, and you are still here.